Hey everyone, PAX West is an incredible production that dominates downtown Seattle once each year. And even though there's huge keynotes, concerts, panels, and workshops, for me, PAX is always about scoping out new and wild indie games in their natural habitat. So first up is Superfuse. This is a superhero-inspired, loot-oriented action RPG. This looks like the perfect game next year for when I have downtime between Diablo 4 or Path of Exile 2 and still want to play a Diablo-esque game. Now, at launch, you'll be able to play with up to 4 players at once, and there'll also be a solo campaign. Raw Fury and developer Stitchheads say the game is coming to early access later this year, but no hard dates are announced yet. Now, my next stop was my favorite booth of all of PAX, the Brace Yourself Games booth. They were showing 5 games in total, including Crypt of the Necrodancer, Rift of the Necrodancer, Phantom Brigade, Godless, and Industries of Titan. Now, you have to understand something before we go further. Brace Yourself Games 8 years ago was a simple indie game company who made an interesting rhythm game roguelike hybrid. But now, they're one of the fastest growing indies with a fantastic lineup of games. Now let me break this down if you're not familiar with the Brace Yourself Games catalog, just so you can kind of understand everything that they were showing here on the showroom floor at PAX. First is their original game, Crypt of the Necrodancer. This is an indie game that's basically Dance Dance Revolution had a baby with a roguelike dungeon crawler. This game is fantastic. If you haven't played this, just pick it up already. It's very cheap, it's on Steam, it's easy to play. Alright, next is Cadence of Hyrule. Now this is basically the same kind of game, or even the same game as Crypt of the Necrodancer, except it has a Nintendo license and allows you to play as Link and other Zelda characters. This of course makes the game 100 times better, but it's only on the Nintendo Switch and not on Steam or other platforms, so you're not able to connect your $5,000 aftermarket Dance Dance Revolution pad to play the game. Boom. Brace Yourself Games makes Industries of Titan, which is a game that's part SimCity, part Factory Builder, and part City Defender. Now, as Brace Yourself Games' second game, this shows us that they're not just a one-hit wonder, but are actually an indie powerhouse. This game is still in early access, but it should hit 1.0 towards the end of the year, meaning that we're close to the full launch of the game. And next, boom, Brace Yourself also has Phantom Brigade, which is in yet another completely different genre entirely. This time, they're taking on the turn-based tactical genre with a completely fresh look. Battletech and XCOM fans are going to be interested in this one. Now, you might ask yourself, why haven't you heard of this game yet? And that's because it's still in early access and it's only on the Epic Games Store right now. Of course, they have a Steam release coming soon. I feel like this is going to develop a lot like how Hades did in the early days, where it was only on the Epic Games Store, and suddenly when it launched on Steam, everyone was talking about it and playing it. So, if you're a Battletech or XCOM kind of person, and those games are up your alley, make sure you check out Phantom Brigade. But actually, boom! Brace Yourself Games is now a publisher too. And at the show, they showed us their first published games, Godless. This was a brand new turn-based tactical roguelike auto-battler from solo developer Daniel Kaluuya. You're the last god in a war against mortals, and you bless your troops, transform the battlefield, and you create powerful gems to help determine the outcome of battles. You get stronger with each run through the game in a true roguelike fashion. I was able to play this on the showroom floor, but I only got a little bit of playtime, and I wish I had gotten more because it's a blast. This game is coming to Steam, and it looks like a fresh take on the auto-battling genre by turning it into a single-player roguelike experience instead of the typical 8-player online brawl. But actually, boom, Brace Yourself Games does it again, and now they're making Rift of the Necrodancer, which is a straight-up rhythm game inspired by Crypt of the Necrodancer. In fact, it's 3 rhythm games in one, featuring again the talents of Danny B on the soundtrack. The main game mode is this Guitar Hero looking track, but look out because these are actually Necrodancer bad guys and monsters coming down the track, and you have to know how to play each of the mechanics of the enemies to defeat them. So this is a super fresh take on a rhythm game, making this more than just about hitting notes as fast as possible, but actually understanding the enemy's behavior as well. Oh yeah, there's also a yoga mode and a boss mode as well, which were a lot more chill than sort of the main game mode, but they were really cute, and I'm here for it. Look, Brace Yourself Games is just awesome. They're my favorite booth at the show, And if they aren't on your radar yet, then just go on Steam and make sure you wishlist all of their games. I promise you're going to have a good time. Okay, next up for me was the developer Free Lives and their publisher Devolver Digital's reverse SimCity game, Terra Nil. Now, this one's been on my radar for a while, and I've been watching it like a hawk so that I could get the chance to play it. So I was really happy that I was able to steal away about 20 minutes of gameplay on the expo hall floor. There's just so much to like about this game, but even then, the aesthetic alone carries it. It's just a beautiful game. You start out with a ruined landscape, but soon you're building grasslands, burning them down to enrich the soil, and then boom, you're slapping forests together, pushing solar energy, making green research, and more. I'd say this is maybe the very first solar punk game I've ever played, which envisions you building and terraforming a rich environment instead of building a urban city. If you're a fan of SimCity or the city skylines genre of games, you'll want to check this one out. Now, of course, one of my favorite stops every year at PAX is the Polish booth. And this year, my favorite game from the Polish booth was Ultra Mega Cats. This is a co-op 3D roguelike where you play as a cat with superpowers and you need to clear rooms of enemies and bosses to escape your prison. Each room you clear offers an upgrade, which are very Diablo-like in nature, giving you more damage, crit, health, and other power-ups. I think this game is still pretty early in development, but I found the characters to be very well designed, and I think the concept is really solid. Given enough time and work, I think this game has the potential to be something very special. Now, beyond the games at PAX, I also had a blast just checking out the rest of the expo. First, and most surprisingly, Intel had a brand new technology on the expo hall floor. Intel was showing their new graphics cards. That's right, Intel has a desktop-grade graphics card called Intel Arc. Now, this is not released yet, and I understand this is the first time they've publicly demoed this to the general public. They were very secretive with it in the expo hall floor, going so far as to keep the demo room in a giant truck-like structure. The demo itself also didn't allow anyone to run any benchmarking tools or capture gameplay, so the technical details are a bit lacking, but needless to say, I ran the card through its paces by playing an array of different graphics-intensive games, and the setup never dropped below 60 FPS as far as I could tell. I think Intel bringing additional competition to the GPU space is fantastic news for all gamers, and I can't wait to see how Intel Arc continues to evolve as we learn more details in the coming days. Also in the Intel booth, I was surprised to see some of the Stepmania developers had a Dance Dance Revolution setup, complete with two very expensive, very modern $1,500 Stepmania X dance pads. So of course, I had to give that a shot as well. I was a bit too busy this year to join in on cosplay, but there were some fantastic ones. Of course, Gamer Waifu also joined in with her fantastic 2B cosplay this year. We also found the Pope Turtle from Elden Ring and Bayonetta as well. This year had just so many new cosplays, and it was very refreshing to see people in cosplay again. I found that Jinx from Arcane was really popular, as well as the Lamb from Cult of the Lamb. Now, overall, PAX West this year was a revival from the last few years, and I think it's one of the strongest PAXs on record yet. It'll be interesting to see PAX West 2023 as the Seattle Convention Center is opening a giant brand new space next year. I hope we get to see PAX in the new space because frankly, the old Seattle Convention Center is cramped and complicated for con-goers to navigate around the expo hall. Thanks for watching. If you're more interested in any of the games that I mentioned today, let me know in the comments below that like button. I'd love to take you on a more detailed tour of some of these up-and-coming games. All that said, I had a blast at PAX, but it's time to get back to some Diablo 4 and Path of Exile content. I'll see you in the next one. Peace!